Ladies and gentlemen, good day everyone and welcome to Vipshop Holdings Limited's third quarter 2020 earnings conference call. At this point, I would like to turn the call to Ms. Jessie Fan, Vipshop's Director of Investor Relations. Please proceed.
Thank you, operator. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining Vipshop's third quarter 2020 earnings conference call. Before we begin, I will read the safe harbor statement. During this conference call, we will make forward-looking statements within the meaning of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995 that are based on our current expectations, assumptions, estimates, and projections about Vipshop Holdings Limited and its industry. All statements other than statements of historical fact we may make during this call are forward-looking statements. In some cases, these forward-looking statements can be identified by words or phrases such as anticipate, believe, continue, estimate, expect, intend, is or are likely to, may, plan, should, will, aim, potential, or other similar expressions. These forward-looking statements speak only as of the date hereof and are subject to change at any time, and we have no obligation to update these forward-looking statements. Joining us on today's call are Eric Shen, our co-founder, chairman, and CEO, and Donghao Yang, our CFO. At this time, I would like to turn the call over to Mr. Eric Shen.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our third quarter 2020 earnings conference call. Before I go into business updates, I would like to welcome our new CFO, David Cui, who is with us here at today's call. David joined us last month and will officially succeed Donghao as our CFO today. After today's call, Donghao will transition into his new role as our non-executive director and continue to contribute to our future growth in a different capacity. Now I will turn to our results for the third quarter of 2020. During the quarter, we delivered stronger financial and operations results, driven by the robust 36% year-over-year growth in the number of the active customers, further accelerating from the growth rate in the second quarter. This was made possible because we consistently offered great products at a deep discount to our valued customers. We are especially glad to see that both new and repeat customers demonstrate robust growth momentum, which was a result of our focus on merchandising and some reinvestment into branding so that our specialty in discount retail can be known to a broad customer base. As a result, we recently added a lot of new customers and old customers that have not shopped with us for a long time. These customers typically spend a lot less than our existing loyal customers, which drags down our ARPU in the short term. We are always tracking the shopping behaviors of different cohorts of customers. We are glad to see the ARPU for our core customers continue to increase, while new customers and reactive old customers have shown the better repeat purchase and ARPU trends as compared to the same group of the customers in a prior year period. This means our merchandising strategy is working well, and our customers recognize the value of our differentiated offering, especially in our core category. Going forward, we will continue to focus on pursue high quality and differentiate products at deep discount and deepen our expertise in made-for-VIP products, leveraging our strong merchandising capability and solid supply chain network. we remain focused on providing our customers with products of deep value on a daily basis, while improving our operations to provide more personalized experience to meet different customer needs. We recently hired a new co-CTO, Peng Junru, who have over a decade of solid experience in big data and personalization in China's internet space. He will focus on improving the customer experience through optimizing the match between our already procured products to different customer personalized tastes. This will help our suppliers monetize their inventory more efficiently and grow their sales more quickly. We are confident we can continue to expand our customer base, and the positive trend in customer acquisition and retention will also continue, further driving our growth and profitability and enabling us to deliver solid shareholder return over time. At this point, let me hand over the call to our CFO, Donghao Yang, so that he may discuss our strategy in more detail and go over our operational and financial results.
Thanks, Eric. Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to express my deep gratitude to Eric and all of my colleagues for their help and support during my 9-year tenure as the CFO of Vipshop. I will continue to serve the company as a director and wish Vipshop and David, the new CFO, all the best luck in the future. In the third quarter of 2020, we delivered strong revenue and profit growth. Our total net revenue increased by 18% year-over-year to 23.2 billion from 19.6 billion RMB in the same period last year. As a result of better operating leverage, our non-GAAP net income attributable to Vipshop shareholders increased by 15% year-over-year to 1.4 billion from 1.2 billion RMB in the prior year period. In addition, we generated robust free cash flow, with free cash inflow for the trailing 12 months ended September 30th, 2020, increasing to 5.4 billion from 4.8 billion RMB in the prior year period. We are pleased to see that more customers, old and new, are coming to us more frequently for our differentiated product offering. Our merchandisers carefully procure products and launch new deals on a daily basis, providing superior value to our customer base while helping our suppliers clear their excess inventory more efficiently. In the third quarter of 2020, our total GMV grew by 21% year-over-year, and GMV for our core apparel-related categories grew even faster at 29% year-over-year. These successes are made possible by our strategy to focus on discount retail, especially in non-standardized categories. Looking ahead, we remain keenly focused on balancing our top-line growth and profitability. We believe the healthy growth momentum in our number of active customers will continue to drive our future growth. Importantly, we strictly follow the lifetime value model to evaluate the quality of the customers we acquire, ensuring the long-term sustainability of our growth and profitability. We aim to generate sustainable value creation for our customers, suppliers, and shareholders. Now, moving on to our quarterly financial highlights. Before I get started, I would like to clarify that all the financial numbers presented today are in renminbi amounts, and all the percentage changes refer to year-over-year changes, unless otherwise noted. Total net revenue for the third quarter of 2020 increased by 18.2% year-over-year to 23.2 billion from 19.6 billion in the prior year period, primarily driven by the growth in the number of total active customers. Gross profit for the third quarter of 2020 increased by 15.3% year-over-year to 4.9 billion from 4.2 billion in the prior year period. Gross margin was 21.1% as compared with 21.6% in the prior year period. Total operating expenses for the third quarter of 2020 were 3.9 billion as compared with 3.4 billion in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, total operating expenses decreased to 16.9% from 17.3% in the prior year period. Fulfillment expenses for the third quarter of 2020 were 1.6 billion as compared with 1.6 billion in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, fulfillment expenses decreased to 7% from 8.1% in the prior year period, primarily attributable to the change in fulfillment logistics arrangement. Marketing expenses for the third quarter of 2020 were 1.1 billion as compared with 721.3 million in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, marketing expenses were 4.9% as compared with 3.7% in the prior year period, primarily attributable to increased investment into customer acquisition. Technology and content expenses for the third quarter of 2020 decreased to 305.1 million from 400.7 million in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, technology and content expenses decreased to 1.3% from 2% in the prior year period. General and administrative expenses for the third quarter of 2020 were 848.6 million as compared with 681.6 million in the prior year period. As a percentage of total net revenue, general and administrative expenses were 3.7% as compared with 3.5% in the prior year period. Our income from operations for the third quarter of 2020 increased by 6.7% year-over-year to 1.2 billion from 1.2 billion in the prior year period. Operating margin was 5.4% as compared with 6% in the prior year period. Non-GAAP income from operations, which excluded share-based compensation expenses and amortization of intangible assets resulting from the business acquisition, increased by 8% year-over-year to 1.5 billion from 1.4 billion in the prior year period. Non-GAAP operating income margin was 6.4% as compared with 7% in the prior year period. Our net income attributable to Vipshop shareholders for the third quarter of 2020 increased by 42.1% year-over-year to 1.2 billion from 875.5 million in the prior year period. Net margin attributable to Vipshop shareholders increased to 5.4% from 4.5% in the prior year period. Net income attributable to Vipshop shareholders per diluted ADS increased to 1.8 RMB from 1.3 RMB in the prior year period. Non-GAAP net income attributable to Vipshop shareholders, which excluded share-based compensation expenses, amortization of intangible assets resulting from business acquisitions, tax effect of amortization of intangible assets resulting from business acquisitions, investment gain and revaluation of investments excluding dividends, tax effect of investment gain and revaluation of investments excluding dividends, and share of loss in investment of limited partnerships that are accounted for as equity method investees, increased by 15.2% to 1.4 billion from 1.2 billion in the prior year period. Non-GAAP net margin attributable to Vipshop shareholders was 6% as compared with 6.2% 6.1% in the prior year period. Non-GAAP net income attributable to Vipshop shareholders per diluted ADS increased to 2.01 RMB from 1.78 RMB in the prior year period. As of September 30th, 2020, our company had cash and cash equivalents and restricted cash of 9.6 billion and short-term investments of 4.9 billion. For the third quarter of 2020, net cash from operating activities was 1.2 billion. Looking at our business outlook for the fourth quarter of 2020, we expect our total net revenue to be between 33.7 billion RMB and 35.2 billion RMB, representing a year-over-year growth rate of approximately 15% to 20%. These forecasts reflect our current and preliminary view on the market and operational conditions, which is subject to change. With that, I would now like to open the call to Q&A.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you wish to ask a question, please press star followed by the number 1 on your telephone keypad and wait for your name to be announced. Kindly note, due to time constraint, kindly ask one question per person. Once again, it is star followed by the number 1 to ask a question. To cancel a request, you can press the pound or hash key. We have the first question coming from the line of Alicia Yap from Citi. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, management. Thanks for taking my questions. Congratulations on the strong results. Wanted to wish Donghao all the best and also welcome David. So my question is related to the active customer growth this quarter. So any way you could share with us how many of those is brand new user who register for the first time versus those dormant user that you successfully regain back. So when I look at the balance between gross margins and sales and marketing spend, could you also share with us how do you optimize and decide which ways are more effective in attracting user and also driving conversion? Is there a difference, between the new user, the effective way of drawing new user versus the regaining back the old user? Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. 沈总 ，Alicia 问这个问题是关于用户增长。这第一个是咱们这个用户增速特别好，但是里面能不能拆一下，大概有多少是新客，多少是老客，然后多少是其他的这些就是比较忠诚的一些老客。然后第二块就是我们去拉新和换回老客的时候，我们的市场费用和毛利这两块，我们其实一直是合起来看的。那我们是怎么去平衡？到底是在毛利上面花一些，比如说大促期间的一些折扣啊，或者是补贴啊，还是市场费用上的，比如说广告拉新，那哪一个这个ROI 更高？咱们怎么去看？
那个第一个问题就是我们因为没有披露季度的新客数嘛，但是总体说我们这个季度的客户，那么其实就是3部分，我们也大量的获取了新客。那么其实这个季度的新客是历史上是近年来增速最高的一次。第二方面呢，我们就是说有老客，我们原来的话原来买过，但是最近好久没来了，那我们其实也用手段把他们拉回来。那么这个其实在拉老客，我们应该也是历史上最比较高的一个季度。那么另外呢，我们还有活跃的用户持续在购买。那么总体就是我们这3波。那么第二个问题就是问那个一个是
毛利费用和市场费用如何去投放，如何平衡 ROI？
对，那个但是不是他问就是我们今天获取客人的钱是用市场费用花掉呢，还是用前端的什么券花掉？是这个意思吗？对。但是我们 Q3 的话呢，因为我们其实很少用券嘛，那么理论上就是说大量就是其实大部分都是用我们这个市场费用。
So Alicia, regarding your first question on customer mix, we actually don't disclose new customer numbers separately. But as you mentioned, our customer base is mostly segmented into completely new customers who purchased for the first time, which its growth rate in the third quarter was the highest in recent years. And second, the old customers, so customers who are repeat customers but have not shopped with us for a long time, we also saw a very high growth rate in the recent quarters, in the third quarter of 2020. And then, of course, we have our loyal customers who consistently shop with us, regardless of whether or not we're spending extra into gross margin or marketing. And secondly, regarding the ROI of whether we're spending gross margin or marketing in the third quarter, because it's a quarter with very few promotional events, we actually mostly spent in terms of customer acquisition in branding and advertising rather than coupons or subsidies into promotional events.
And let me add some color to that question. Alicia, first of all, thank you very much for your good wishes, and hopefully we will come across each other down the road. And David has joined us, and we believe that he's going to be a great CFO. So we're confident about that too. So back to your question. As Eric just mentioned, we didn't do a lot of couponing back in Q3, but that said, we were still able to drive our selling prices to our customers down, because we just negotiated hard with the suppliers to get better deals. And then, we leveraged our economy of scale. That also helped a lot, when we for us to get the best prices from the suppliers. So even though we didn't do much couponing, but our prices, to our customers are still very attractive, among the lowest anywhere you can find.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Jerry Liu from UBS. Please go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Yes, my question is really about, given the high user growth in the third quarter, I want to know how sustainable is this trend. So what are some of the cohorts maybe we can look at in the third quarter in terms of lower tier city or some other metrics, and how sustainable is this high user growth? When we look at, for example, 4Q revenue guidance, do we expect user growth to remain at such a high level, and maybe with the average revenue per user declining year over year, or could maybe both numbers revert to the mean a little bit? Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. 陈总 ，Jerry 这个问题是我们3季度的用户增长其实特别好，那这个趋势是不是可以持续？然后能不能讲一下我们这些用户来自哪里？比如说他们是一线城市更多，还是从哪里获取的？然后进一步的就是我们4季度给的这个指引里面，是觉得用户增长会继续持续，还是那个人均消费会上来？咱们是怎么样的一个考量？
对。我们目前那个用户增长都持续很稳定，那么包括 Q4 的用户增长还比我们已经发生的 Q3 还要更好。那么我们看到这些客户的增长，比如说新客吧，我们看到60%的新客是00后到90后，那么所以说我们也保证了我们那些新客那些客户会源源不断的过来。那么另外呢，我们看到我们新客的，比如说像那个2020年3季度的每个月的新客的自阅流程都同比增加5%到10%，所以我们其实说我们现在大量的获取客户，其实客户的质量也是有保证的。那还有问什么？
还有就是4季度的指引里面，是觉得用户增长会快还是ARPU快？其实您刚才也谈了。
好 ，OK。另外呢，就是我们大家看到 Q3 的ARPU，那么我们说是会下降嘛，但是我们认为说给一点时间的话，其实过1个季2个季，那些 ARPU 就会缩窄，就是说我们讲的不会像那个 Q3 这样跌得这么厉害，因为是我们最近是拉了大量的新客跟老客，但是我们也观测到这些顾客随着时间的增长，他们的 ARPU 会提高。
Jerry, our customer growth trend in the fourth quarter continues to be very solid, and the trend we're seeing right now is even better than the third quarter. So we believe that the trend, as you mentioned, can continue. Right now, we're acquiring a lot of high-quality customers, as we also mentioned in the prepared remarks. And the good news is 60% of these new customers are actually from post-2000 and post-90s. So they're quite young, and we can ensure that we can continue to gain customers from all age groups, and a lot of these young customers will continue to grow with our platform over time. And secondly, as compared to the new customers who joined us in the third quarter of 2019, the next month retention for new customers who joined this year's third quarter actually increased by 5 to 10% year over year. What that means is they're higher quality, and in terms of both the retention and the ARPU. In the fourth quarter, what we noticed is that the ARPU trend is already narrowing its decline as compared to the third quarter. So we do believe that with time, a lot of these newer customers will be spending more with our platform, therefore narrowing the gap in terms of the ARPU drop.
Thank you. We have our next question from the line of Thomas Chong from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thanks, management, for taking my questions. I have a question relating to the competitive landscape. Remember a quarter ago during the earnings call, we talked about there are different competitors competing in the sector. Just want to see how we should think about it in coming quarters or in 2021. And then my next question is about the user trend for next year. Should we expect the user growth momentum would continue going into next year, or we should expect there may be some gradual slowdown? Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. 沈总 Thomas 两个问题，第一个就是您能不能聊一聊现在的竞争格局，未来咱们怎么看，然后包括2021年的一个竞争格局。第二个就是看到我们用户趋势增长都非常好，这个趋势明年是否可持续？
第一个就是竞争趋势，其实现在市场上竞争还是蛮激烈的，那么很多玩家也在做我们讲的服装品类库存的事情，但是我们相信呢，我们其实在这个领域做了这么久，我们专注于我们的好货，那么而且我们就聚焦自营服装品类，那么我们跟别人的平台模式不一样，我们自己精挑细选，那么包括定制商品，我们组成差异化好货，那么而且呢用户确实性价比很高，所以这些呢我们相信说我们其实在这个市场上还是有我们的绝对的竞争力。那么第二点他是问
用户增长明年趋势是？
对，我们相信说，其实我们说的，我们现在因为是聚焦好货策略嘛，那么我们很多用户喜欢我们，原来不喜欢我们的用户也喜欢我们，那么那个包括我们自己最近也加强传播，因为我们要传播是叫特卖，我们的特卖价值就是超值，那么所以说我们相信说，其实照着延续的今年的趋势，我们明年的用户增长趋势也不会差，那么我们是希望我们自己认真把这些做得更好一些。那么我们相信，其实在未来啊，我们说我们希望更多的用户来到我们的网站上。
Thomas, regarding your two questions, on the first question, e-commerce is always quite competitive, and there are a lot of players in this space, and also some players in specifically the apparel or discount retail segment. But we have been a player in this field for quite a number of years, and we have a lot of experience and a lot of supply chain relationships as well. Most importantly, we focus on our merchandising strategy. So our apparel-related products are all sold on a first-party model, and that are very different from the marketplace platforms. Our products are procured by our merchandisers, and we provide differentiated products at a deep discount on a daily basis. So we do believe that customers recognize the differentiated value of Vipshop, and that's why we were able to achieve accelerated customer growth in the recent quarters as well. And regarding your second question, customer growth, we have been refocusing on good merchandising, and it's been quite effective in drawing back customers who potentially didn't like us or left the platform because we didn't offer them exactly the type of value that they were looking for. And as we refocused onto good merchandising and good prices, we also increased our branding budget in order to promote our brand image and let more customers know how we're different and what we have to offer. So we do believe that the trends that we're seeing in 2020 can continue in the future.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Hanjun Kim from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. Welcome, David, and thanks for everything, Donghao, and hope to stay in touch. And best of wishes in your next endeavors. In terms of the business, I just wanted to follow up. We've been kind of preparing for user acquisition for a little while now. We fixed a lot of our cost structure. We improved our merchandising, and we were planning to go after user acquisition, and the strategy seems to have been working quite nicely. So as you guys kind of culminate towards this point of acquiring users better, what are some of the incremental challenges that you're seeing now relative to some of the fixes that you've been doing before? And so how do we kind of plan to address some of these new challenges that are coming as you start to grow strongly again?
Thank you, Hanjun. 沈总，Hanjun 这个问题是问我们，其实过去也做了不少的改变，用户增长也不错，然后好货战略也在一直聚焦。我们现在看到有哪些困难，是对我们未来发展可能会有一些这个提升难度的，然后我们怎么去就是改变这个境遇。
我们现在看到其实没有什么特别大的困难啊，但是我们自己说我们坚定要做几件事情。一个呢，我们要保证充足的货品供应；另外呢，我们其实要确保我们这些，比如说我们的货品差异化、持续低价。那么我们要引入这种叫定制化的货品，那么真正做到好货低价，这是第一点。第二点呢，其实我们也一直要宣传我们讲的超值的特卖价值，我们让更多人喜欢唯品会，那么我们广泛获客，另外呢，增加我们的老客。那么，但是我们要确保这些用户质量很高。那么第三点呢，其实我们最近也在加强我们的个性化匹配跟提高我们的算法能力。那这样的话呢，让我们的用户来了以后，我们用海量的优质商品匹配更准确。所以其实这几点是我们一直在做的，但是这几点要做好其实都不容易。所以我们理论上就在这几点上面深入要把它做好。我们相信就这些方面越做好，接下来也会越来越好。
Hanjun, regarding your question on challenges, we didn't see anything that is particularly challenging or new in terms of the development of our business, but there are a few things that we will be focusing on to further deepen our expertise and improve our business trends. The first one is ensuring that we have enough good merchandising to offer to our customers, and that includes the efforts we've made and the potential opportunities made for Vipshop products. And the second one is to acquire customers from a wider customer group. Of course, while ensuring the quality of the customers and that they would be high spending customers with high retention. And lastly, personalization. So as you mentioned, we have been always trying to personalize the experience on the platform, matching the products we've already procured and carefully selected by the merchandisers to the individual consumers' needs and their individual tastes and styles. So these things are the areas where we'll be focusing on going forward, and we will continue to deepen our expertise and specialty in the discount retail area by focusing on these areas. So we do believe that as long as we can successfully execute on these three areas, we should be continuing to see very positive business results as well.
Thank you. We have the next one coming from the line of Ronald Young from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Shen Donghao. Welcome, David and Jessie. maybe a question on the revenue growth that we've seen, a very kind of strong beat versus your guidance. So kind of the 5 to 10% came at 18%. Was that a very big surprise in the September month? And can you share just how the quarter to date has been, maybe particularly over the November shopping festivals? Any trends that you could share besides you talked about the higher user trends versus third quarter so far? Thank you.
Sure. Let me take your question. Thanks for it. Well, you know what? The third quarter of every year tends to be the most difficult quarter for which we provide guidance because in the 3 months of that quarter, 2 months kind of warm, but the September is kind of a autumn, much cooler month. So we are a retailer for apparel mostly. So our sales may be affected by sometimes by the change in the seasonality. So when we provide guidance, it's usually mid August. There's no way we can foresee how the autumn will look like in September. So that's why in the third quarter of every year it's kind of the most difficult from me as CFO's perspective to provide guidance to the investors. So I think that's the main reason why our guidance looked kind of conservative for Q3, but the actual results turned out to beat the guidance by a pretty big margin. For other quarters, I think we have kind of a better sense in terms of what the guidance should be or compared to the actual results. Well, okay. Your second question was about the Double 11. I think our performance for Double 11 was quite good, actually quite strong, both in terms of customer growth and GMV growth.
Next question, please, operator.
Thank you. We have the next question coming from the line of Joyce Ju from Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Shen Zong, Donghao, David, and Jessie. Congrats on the very solid results this quarter, and thanks for taking my question. I actually have a follow-up question to Shen Zong previously mentioned the supply chain side, because I believe a couple of quarters before you guys mentioned like you are actually upgraded the relationship with the key suppliers and talking about like giving rebates or some incentives to the top suppliers and try to secure more attractive overstocks. Just want to know what's the progress on that front, and also if Shen Zong could elaborate a little bit to let us know what's the latest trends in terms of our cooperation with suppliers, because we know in early this year, the first half, or even the early summer, probably most of the brands have a lot of overstocks, but after years of destocking on different online channels, what's the situation of the brands now, and are we foreseeing next year we could secure same level of attractive products similar to this year? And the last question is actually related to the customization Shen Zong previously mentioned. Just could you elaborate more in terms of how this was actually the cooperation was in shape, and what percentage of our current GMV are products in this cooperation format? Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Joyce. 沈总这位这个问题是问那个供应链，就是说我们去年一直在提我们跟品牌关系要更近，然后有一些比如说好朋友品牌的这个主题啊、账户这样的想法。那最近有没有什么新的更新？还有就是咱们在今年这样的一个大环境下，有没有一些新的品牌新增？包括这个出口转内销或者是海外的一些有库存压力的品牌。然后这个明年会不会持续？明年还会有这么多的好货去卖呢？
对，那个就是我们其实今年也是大力拥抱知名度好的品牌，就是我们把品牌有分级嘛，就是说我们会对这种叫知名度好的品牌，那么国内这种畅销品牌，那么我们就提供补贴，让他们跟我们合作，成本更低嘛，那么他们有更多的货流向我们。另外呢，我们其实今年也大力的扩展新品牌，就是包括说我们说出口转内销的我们一般不怎么弄，但是海外的一些品牌，知名的品牌，我们也大量拥抱他们。我们希望是给我们的用户啊带来更多的选择。
Thank you, Joyce. So we actually rank our brands by their brand equity and the quality of the brand, both internationally and domestically. And we, as you mentioned, have been subsidizing some of the top brands, and in order to secure the best inventory that they have to be sold on our platform. On top of that, this year we also have been acquiring more international brands and also the top international brands to work with us. So we will continue to add more high-quality brands and direct more traffic to our top partners with high brand quality, and that the customers like, and that we can continue to deepen our relationships with these top brands as well. 然后说明年会持续有这么多好货吗？
对，那么我们很多人还问我们，他说那个你们唯品会的货够不够，好货够不够？其实我们看，我们到现在为止货量是绝对充足啊。那么包括我们看最近的今年6月份的很多上市服装企业的库存，其实这么多上市企业的库存已经有700亿。那么你们想一想，就是说其实中国的服装品牌啊，就是我们说的有知名度的服装品牌还很多没上市，所以说我们其实认为，其实在中国这个市场，那么我们讲的尤其服装类的库存是永远存在的。那么我们希望是我们积累更多的用户，那么有更快的更强的销售能力，能帮助这些品牌解决我们讲库存的问题。
And Joyce, regarding your second question on whether or not we will continue to see a lot of the good merchandising into the next year and beyond, the answer would be that yes, we have seen plenty of inventory so far. And if you look at the financial statements of a lot of the apparel brands in China, that they published in June this year, there is actually over 70 billion of inventory from just the listed brands. And there are more brands that are not listed. So we believe that there is lots of potential in the discount retail market. And what we need to do right now is actually acquire more customers so that we can help more brand partners clear more inventory more efficiently. So again, on the supply side, we have very strong relationships, and we don't worry about the supply running out next year or beyond at all at this moment in time.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of John Choi from Daiwa Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening, and thank you for taking my question. And Donghao, best of luck and best wishes, and welcome on board, David. I have a question related to your merchant strategy or your supply strategy, because you could see that our gross profit margin has been consistently around like low 20s, but at the same time, management kept on saying that we are doing very well when it comes to getting quality and better merchandise. So I was wondering, in terms of our strategy, what have we done over the past, I would say, a year or so to further enhance our merchandising capability? Is it because of we're consistently paying a bit higher in terms of the take rate is a bit lower? So that's my first question. The second question is just quickly on the user cohort. Can you kind of share with us the new user or the existing previous dormant users, how much are they coming from the lower tier cities or either from the Tencent mini program channels? Thank you.
Thank you, John. 沈总，这样有两个问题。第一个就是，其实看到我们毛利现在是在一个20左右的一个水平。那我们过去1年也不断的在提高买手能力，所以我们说这个商务和买手能力提高的时候，我们具体做了一些什么事情，然后跟降扣有关呢？
商务买手跟降扣是什么意思？
就是说我们是降了扣点，因此提高了这个货品和销售的能力，还是咱们在这个商务方面有一些别的竞争？
那我们其实主要是精选货品，那么这个跟我们降扣的话，因为是对重点品牌、对知名品牌，那么我们对普通品牌的扣点还是一样的。但是呢，就是我们其实是因为我们自己是选货的，那么我们其实就针对我们自己唯品会网站上客户需要什么，我们选什么，而且我们有数据积累，那么其实我们就要挑出来好的货。其实主要是靠我们的买手能力。但是呢，其实刚刚说的那个就是他问的是不是选货能力强了，毛利高了？那不是，其实是选货能力强了，效率更高了，导致整个运营下来，我们讲那个毛利也 OK， 净利也 OK。对。
So John, when we say we lower take rates in some cases for suppliers, we're only mentioning we're doing this for top suppliers. So most for the predominant suppliers on the platform, their take rate has not changed. When we talk about merchandising, it's about choosing products, choosing brands, negotiating lower prices, and becoming more efficient on our platform in terms of the traffic and the match between the merchandising and the end consumer. So it's not exactly just about lowering take rates and lowering prices. But we do want to mention that when we do better in merchandising, it doesn't necessarily mean we increase the take rate. It just means that we have better products that are more attractive to the consumer.
然后沈总他还有第二个问题，就是我们的用户是来自于哪些地方，有没有一些什么特点，比如说是一线城市还是腾讯京东贡献更大？
我们现在那个新的用户，那么来自京东跟腾讯的贡献是22%。那么我们的用户其实来的区域也没有说特定来自低线城市或者高线城市，其实我们目前的话1、2、3、4、5、6线其实都还蛮平均的。那么我们尤其在2、3、4线，我们的用户群加起来量最大。
John, regarding the new customer contribution, so the new customer contribution from Tencent and JD in the third quarter is around 22%, and they don't come from a specific tier of city, but rather from tier 1 to tier 6 of cities, so across the board. But the highest customer contribution comes from tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities.
Let me add a bit more color to this question. It seems that a lot of our investors are, looking closely at our gross margin and gross margin only. That's not exactly what the management has been focusing on. For the last many quarters, we've been telling the capital market that our goal is to drive top line growth as fast as possible while maintaining a stable profitability. So by stable profitability, we mainly look at the bottom line. So it's a balance between growth and profitability. So gross margin is just only part of the equation. So as long as we can maintain a stable, let me repeat, a stable bottom line profitability, then our goal is to drive top line as fast as possible, including all the things that we can do to acquire new customers, for example, take rate, marketing, and all that. So I would encourage our investors to look at our financials or profitability, as a whole, not just in particular any line item.
Thank you.
Next question.
We have the next question. Yes, the next question comes from the line of Feitong Zhang from CICC. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks management for taking my question. Congrats on the strong result. Wish Donghao all the best luck in the future, and welcome David, and thanks Jessie, and thanks Shenzhou. My question is regarding to the impact from the pandemic and the cold winter. The pandemic resulted increased inventory level in many industries, and we are benefiting from it. And cold winter versus warm winter last year, we also benefited from more sales in apparel category. And is it one-time benefit or structural benefit for a VIP shop? Is the top line growth sustainable? are we going to spend more marketing dollar next quarter and next year? This is my first question. And my second question is regarding to the margin. Fourth quarter in 2019 was relatively a high base. How should we look at the profitability for the fourth quarter this year and moving into next year? Are we going to continue our strategy to spend marketing dollar as much as we can, and margin will be around like mid-digit for the following quarters? How are we going to balance top-line growth and profitability for next year? Thanks.
沈总，非同这个问题是问我们的，其实就问我们的净利的一个趋势。他是说今年这个有冷冻，然后又有疫情，对我们的业务其实是有利的。那这个变化是一次性还是结构性？其次就是我们看到四季度和2021年我们的这个净利润大概是一个什么样的趋势，然后我们是否要花更多的市场费用去拉新，然后跟净利是一个怎么样的平衡？
我来回答第二个问题。沈总说那个结构性的那个问题可以。
第一个就是就是我们认为说，其实种种迹象表明了今年是冷冬啊，那么其实跟去年的暖冬有很大的差别。但是呢，我们其实现在呢，我们相信我们的如果 Q4 的业绩增长，其实主要是靠用户增长驱动，不是说靠冷冻驱动。那当然说冷冻对我们如果强劲的用户增长会更有帮助。那么这是我认为的第一点。
So Feitong, on your question on the cold winter, yes, this year's winter is a bit colder than last year's winter, but our growth in the fourth quarter is mainly going to be driven, as we mentioned previously, by customer growth. So it doesn't have too much to do with the cold winter, but of course it is definitely a tailwind to our business, a headwind.
Yeah, you know what? The cold winter, I think, is temporary and may not have as much as impact on our business as some of the investors think. Because last winter, you just mentioned, we had a record quarter in terms of net margin, right? Our net margin was like close to more than 9%, excluding the impact from the discontinuation of our logistics business. The last winter, last Q4 was a very warm winter, and this winter is a bit colder, but I think the impact would be very limited and temporary, if any. But I think the COVID-19 pandemic, might have brought some structural change in the retail industry because during the COVID-19 pandemic period, a lot of the stores, offline stores, were closed. So many customers who used to only shop at offline stores had to change their behavior and started shopping online. And so we believe that split between online and offline retail now, I think, moves more favorably to online. I think that's a bit change that due to the structural change. Well, in terms of profitability going forward, as I just mentioned, our goal is to drive top line as fast as possible while maintaining a stable profitability level. So I think for Q4 and the foreseeable next couple of years, I think that will remain our strategy. We will try to keep our bottom line as stable as possible while reinvest into our top line growth. I think that strategy has worked really well and has paid off handsomely if you look at our financial results in the most recent quarters.
Thank you. We have the next question coming from Andre Chang. Please go ahead, from JP Morgan.
申董 Jessie 晚安，钟浩祝您接下来一切顺利啊！我相信我们很快就会见面，然后也欢迎 David， 希望很快有机会 catch up. So I have a follow-up question on the margin and also a very quick simple question. So on the margin, Donghao, you mentioned you try to keep the profitability at the bottom line is stable. With the reinvestment driving the top-line growth, naturally, we will have more operating leverage. So how should we think about this effect of operating leverage? Should we still see a bottom-line margin gradually going up, even if we continue to reinvest for top-line growth? Say, we usually say that probably 5%-ish net margin is healthy. Too high is not ideal. But we will still see the margin gradually approaching above 6% or 7%. Is that a possible scenario? So that's one thing. And the second is a very quick question on the latest draft on the guidelines of antitrust issues on the internet space. I wonder if Shen Zong or management can provide any color and interpretation on that. Thanks.
Thanks for the question. Let me take your first one. Well, I would have to agree that as our top line continues to grow fast, there will definitely be operating leverage here and there, which will help us increase our bottom line. If that's the case, most likely our bottom line will go up gradually, even if we want to reinvest the profit back to the business to drive faster top line growth. Yes, I would agree with that. So that's why we have been telling the capital market we're not trying to keep a stable profitability level at a specific number. All right, we have been always saying, all right, it's going to be a stable level, not a specific number. That's your first question. Second question.
第二个问题是问这周推出的那个互联网反垄断的指南，您怎么看
？OK， 我们认为这种反垄断的指南其实会帮助互联网行业发展得更健康。那么互联网行业发展得更健康，那么唯品会也会从中受益。
Regarding your second question, Andre, we believe that these antitrust guidelines, if implemented, could help with China's internet long-term healthy growth. And we, as a participant in China's internet space, would of course also benefit from it.
Thank you. We have the next question from the line of Billy Liang from Haitong. Please go ahead.
Hi, management. Thanks for taking my question, and congrats on David coming to the team. My question is in terms of our user growth. I think please explain that it's about merchandising, etc. I was just wondering, in terms of our strategy of user growth, was this an opportunity right now, or why didn't we take this opportunity to expand into the younger generation earlier, like a few quarters ahead? I was just wondering if this is an opportunity that's happening in recently or otherwise. I just wanted to understand the user growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. 陈总 ，Billy 这个问题就是问我们现在这个用户增长趋势非常好。那为什么是在这个时间点看到这么好的用户增长？是不是咱们有什么新的发现？比如说在年轻用户这边有发力，还是这个好货的一些影响等等？
对，我们认为其实是，那么一方面我们加大了投放，那么第二方面其实还是我们主要在货品方面，我们更加确保我们的差异化，确保我们的低价，那么确保是好货。我们认为好的货品才是吸引新的用户纷纷来，包括老的用户继续来，那么那个长期的那个顾客持续在购买一个很重要的原因。
So Billy, why customers increased and what we have been doing, and it's all because we are focusing on differentiated product offerings, specifically on good merchandising. What that means is discount apparel, good brands, deep discount. And good merchandising on a consistent basis is why customers come to us, both new customers who never shopped with us, as well as existing shop customers who can continue to shop with us and buy more with us in the future. So the basis of all this is merchandising, and of course on top of that, as we've shifted more towards discount retail and have good merchandising on the platform, we've also appropriately increased our branding and digital advertising budget.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have any further questions at this moment. I would like to hand the conference back to our speaker. Please take over.
Thank you all for taking the time to join us today, and we look forward to speaking with you next quarter. Basically, we here means Eric, David, and Jesse. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our conference call for today. Thank you all for your participation. You may disconnect your lines now.